COVID, I have been gym down my body. Oh, okay. Coaching things. So like I go through how to use the church key looking out the hat. So if you're practicing, I'm usually the hat starting to do. But I think what we do, we're talking about like usually it's such a big thing. And then it's really I'll go through the numbers too. Because the problem is like 16 people trying to walk around the wall. It's actually almost better for me to have somebody sign up for this during a bounce field. Right. Because I can, usually, unless we're in a real crunch, I can, it's easy enough to get the whole, you want to be on the top. And, for most of the events. Junior qualifier, that's a little uptight for probably a little for the rest of this really
yeah, that's what I said, we expect to see it.
What a cake you made. Anybody want to fly? I know.
Good morning, everybody, on this wonderful Sunday morning. This is the Broomstone Oktoberfest Open. I'm Reggie Wilcox, and we're joining you today on sheet 2 to see the Boston Tea Line Party from Broomstones and North End versus the Knockouts from Cape Cod. Looks like yellow has started with the hammer in this end, and we have yellow sitting 1 right on the button, and they have just thrown up a guard. Red now looks to be trying to draw in, maybe tap their second shot stone to sit a single here. Looks like they might be a little bit light. The sweepers are on it for weight and for line. And it looks like that's going to come up as a little bit light and be a centerline guard here. So yellow is sitting the 1. Looks like they would love to get another counter in there, but just getting anything in the house will be a win for them. Coming down the ice, they liked it out of hand. Looks like it may be over curling a little bit. Can they maybe raise their own yellow in? They're sweeping, and not bad for a plan B. They had excellent weight out of there. They just, the curl on this ice, they lost it a little bit. Again, this is very swingy ice out here, so you need to be careful of the over curl. Red's looking to tap their own up here. They're on it for line. The weight looks pretty close. Need to guide that in and look for the little tap on their own stone. And just over curled that hair. And I think yellow is still sitting the 1 here, but red has 2 in the house. They're sitting 2nd and 4th stone. Yellow looks like they're drawing another one into the house. They want to cover up that double tap that red has available to them. Make sure that they're going to be laying shot stone, and looks like they're trying to steal this end. You see an over curl on that shot as well. I'm wondering, the curl on this ice is very release dependent, so if you have a soft delivery, you'll see this huge amount of curl. We're seeing maybe like 4.5 feet at times. Again, red's looking for this tap up. Looks like they've got pretty good weight here. Can they get the right line? They're sweeping to hold it there. And oh, what a beautiful shot. They are now shot stone with yellow lying 2nd shot. It looks like that shooter kind of spilled into the open, and that's going to give a little in-off for yellow that they're going to try to take advantage of. See if they can nestle one back in there and get shot stone again. Looks like they're on this for line. Need to make sure they get by that guard, which is coming up on them. And they get by it. Can they make contact? Oh! I don't know if that was the called shot, but that was a great shot nonetheless. They picked out the shot stone. I think red is still lying one, but I'll take that shot. There's now a clear draw to the button that yellow can make on their next shot if red does not plug this up. So I think the call here is they want to get a second counter in. They're going to try and wrap this around that high guard. Looking like it's coming in a little hot here. Maybe need a little rub off of that outside red to slow it down and then roll it over under cover. I'm not sure that was the called shot, but they did take that yellow out, and I think they may be lying too, but that may be a measure later on if those stay in this position. Looks like they're trying the same in-off, but this one is hanging out there. I did not see a lot of movement on that. Looked like there was more handle on that release than the previous one, so that kind of stayed out there and didn't get that curl that they were looking for to hit that red and maybe nestle in as shot stone. Alright, we're on to skip stones here. Looks like red is trying to draw another counter in here. Maybe wants to leave it a little bit high so that yellow cannot come down and sit on that. Coming down, the sweepers think it's a little heavy out of hand. Looks like it's hanging a little wide, and maybe they need to rub that outside red. Maybe they can tap that up to get that as shot. And they're trying just a little bit too heavy there. It goes back to third or fourth shot, or fourth or fifth shot. Yellow's setting up here. They want to draw one in. So yellow does have hammer, so they're looking to ideally take two here. This would have to be a skips deuce. Yellow drawing in against two, maybe one red. Wants to get shot stone and nestle it, bury it under there so that red cannot take it out. Look like they think it's a little bit light out of hand. Maybe sweeping for line as well. This is really going to cut at the end, I think. Oh, they're going to... Oh, looks like going a little heavy. This is going to hit on the back stone, but that is shot. It's about half, three-quarter buried, so you can't come at this with a lot of weight, but the line is definitely there to draw onto that and sit one for red. I don't know if they can do any better than that. setting up. This is red's last shot of the end. Coming out, he thinks it's maybe a little bit heavy. We're gonna have to see about a plan B. They need to try and sit the one here. Looks like it's coming over. This is gonna come in quite nicely. And that is gonna sit for shot stone with red lying one for sure. Yellow is second shot, and that red looks like it may be covering the pin. So if yellow wants to take the one, they're gonna have to tap that back an inch or two, which is slight. Looks like there's a little bit of separation between the red and yellow there, so if they just come at it with like a back four weight, that should be good for the single. Looks like they're calling the same weight that they threw for the last shot. I like this. He's just thrown the shot before, throw it again, and you'll get your single. Came out maybe a touch wide from what we had last shot. They're sweeping this for weight. It looks like it's a little bit light. It's got a curl over. Looks like they thought they weren't going to make it there, so they stopped sweeping. And that is going to be one for red here. So that's a steal of red in the first end. This was a well-curled end. A lot of shots made for both teams, but red just made that one extra shot to get the steal in at the end. So we'll see what the next end brings for us. Here we're starting out the second end. Red throwing first rocks. They stole a point last end, so yellow maintains that hammer. They want to throw a centerline guard here. Very nice. One guard on the center line, and with the no tick rule, that stone cannot be moved off of the center line in any way. So that'll give red a lot to work with to start drawing into the house and piling up the stones and try to steal again. Looks like yellow wants to come into the house here, come around that red and kind of use it as their own. It's such a long guard. The run back on that yellow, on that red, is not really a possibility. So they're saying, you have a guard in play, we'll use that and draw behind it. They're on it for weight here. Looks like they may overcooked it a little bit. It's gonna kind of go back 4, but real nice line. Just back button there. On the center line, that's maybe half, 3/4 buried. Red wants to come around that, sit on it. There is room, because that slid just a foot or so deep for red to be shot stone. they could lock it in here. This will be a tough spot for yellow to get out of. Looks like they're sweeping this for line. It's a little bit heavy, so you get that tap back a little bit. I don't think they wanted that. They wanted the clean freeze here. So that little bit of separation does give yellow some room to work with here, where they can tap that red back a little bit and get shot stone. I think this is same shot as last for yellow. They want to just draw into the button and tap that red a little bit so that they can be sitting the 1. Looks like they're sweeping this for weight. It's just gonna be enough weight, but a little bit off on the line. They needed about a foot more curl on that if they wanted to tap the red back. But they are sitting 2 and 3 with a lone red in there, so if that red is ever removed, yellow's going to be sitting real pretty here. There's red. They want to, I think this is like a top house, kind of want to guard the red with a closer guard. This is really taking off on them. Oh, just kick that guard, and it's going to not end up in a bad spot, in my opinion, because now that red is dead buried behind the long guard, and it does make tapping that red a little bit harder. They're going to have to come at this with a new line, so we'll see if they have this side of the ice figured out. They want to throw the same shot that they just did, tap it back just a little bit, and hopefully they can get the line this time and get shot stone out of this. This is looking a little bit hot. They're sweeping for line, I think. They can tap this red quite a bit back with this weight. And that's a wonderful shot. They're now sitting 3 because they've tapped that red back just enough to bring that back yellow into play. Red wants to follow the same playbook, try and tap that yellow back and be sitting. I think with this line, the best they can do is tap that yellow back enough and cut yellow down to 1, because if you make any contact with that top yellow, the 1 on the side button is still going to be shot. They're sweeping here for some curl, trying to push that over, and looks like they're just a little bit light on that weight, so yellow is still sitting 2. We'll see what they like here. Yeah, they want a guard now. They want to throw up a stone to stop red from making any play at the button now. They like their 2 that they're sitting, and they want to protect that. Looks like it might have been a little bit hot out of hand. This may be coming into the house, or this may be straight through, the sweepers are saying. Oh, they're going to knock that red out in the back. Not what they'd hoped for, but it still does help them. There's now 1 very lonely red. If that were ever removed, that would be a disaster for red. So now with that top 4 red that can be promoted, I think that's the shot called here. They can tap that in and if that sits on the yellow at the back button, that red is going to be locked in there and very hard for yellow to deal with. Looks like this is over curling on them. They're trying to hold the line. They're not going to be able to, and it's just going to tick it to the side. And oh, those are a lot of close stones in there. Yellow is definitely shot still, but who is 2, 3, and 4 is very tricky to tell. Looks like yellow still wants to guard this, so I think that means they believe they're sitting 2 at the moment and still want to protect that. Coming up here, weight looks better. Still maybe a little heavy, but if they can lock this into the right position with the good angle, then they will be happy with that. And oh no, this looks like a disaster. They are tapping that red up. Red is now shot stone, and yellow is going to have some work to do to dig that out now. Now that red is shot, they want to guard this up, stop yellow from making a play. We'll see what they can do here. Weight's looking pretty good. Alright, so this is going to come in. Close guard. Looks like it didn't quite cover what they wanted. Yellow can hit like half stone on their top 4 stone and hit that into the shot red and yellow shot stone. Looks like yellow doesn't like that shot. They want to open this up a little bit. They're going to try peeling out that red on the left and open up a shot on the red stone that's top 4 for their next. It's like that's over curling just a hair on them. It's actually a very nice shot. They now have access to that red on the top 4 and the run back with their yellow on top 4. And red's not going to be able to cover both of those options, so there's yellow's going to have at least one shot available for their next to try and get their 1 and hopefully 2 this end. So it looks like red thinks that the more dangerous stone is that yellow top 4. I'm inclined to agree with that, because if you hit that yellow about half stone, that can double out both of the reds, and yellow would be sitting 5. So they're going to try and guard that up, and they're going to leave yellow a play on the red and top 4. This stone is coming down. Looks a little bit heavy, folks. Hopefully they're not going to make yellow shot for them. This is over curling a little bit. That may have done enough. It is close enough to the yellow that it could interfere with that short run double, but the yellow is definitely wide open to try to make a play at this shot. I think that you take this shot now and hit about half stone, maybe closer to 2/3, and I think you can get 2 of those reds out. You're not going to be getting all 3 out with the positioning of the stones, but if yellow can make this double, they're going to be very happy. It's like yellow's tightening up the ice a little bit. They're going to be throwing weight at this, probably normal up or firm. Now there's this heater coming down. It's like they're on that top guard. Maybe didn't quite get out to the broom there, and does feel a little bit cleaner for yellow now. But red is still sitting 1, maybe 2, and they're just going to try and guard this up again. They're throwing the same shot, but taking more ice this time and hoping that they can keep it out far enough to stop yellow's second attempt at this run. It's coming down. They think it's a little bit heavy, so they don't want to touch this. Looks like it's really starting to move again. We'll see if this over curls again. Maybe they'll get a little bounce on that center guard to cover up this stone. That's maybe 2/3, 3/4 buried now. Shot is still there if you come at this with like control. See if they can get the shot that they wanted. They looked at the red off to the left at the in the forefoot for just a second there, thinking about trying to run that back. But with that shot, I don't think you can get your single, because the red in top 4 is never going away, and that'll remain shot stone in the end. So this is your shot for 1, maybe 2. Alright, looks like they like that a little more. They're getting by that guard. Sweeping real hard. Just made it. Oh, what a beauty. That is 1 for yellow. I think they just tapped their back yellow a hair to make it just a single for yellow, but we'll have to see what the call is. I think that was 1 yellow, but we'll have to wait to see what they put up on the scoreboard. Again, that was a phenomenal shot from yellow. They could barely see any of that stone, and he just wicks it in to get his shot stone. And what a game of curling we're seeing here. Shots made back and forth on both sides. This game is neck and neck. Let's see what happens now that red has the hammer for the first time this game. See if they can pull out their 2. So yellow wants their center line guard. They're pulling this in pretty tight. Looks like this may over curl a little. Nope, that sits on the center. Very tight guard. I think that's what they wanted. red is going to ignore this and throw up their own corner guard to try to work towards their deuce. Looks like they think that's a little bit hot out of hand. They're not touching it. Oh, and here they go. Looks like this is checking up on them a little bit. Line's looking great. Weight with their sweeping looks right about where they want it. And that's a nice corner guard. They can definitely work with that, create some offense. Yellow, now that they've thrown up their center guard, wants to make use of it and come around it, bring the play into the rings and make red deal with that. They don't want to let them bring the play into the wings. Coming out, looks maybe a little bit heavy, but in the wings this can slow down a little bit. If you noticed, the broom was being held way outside of the 12 foot, and this is still curling right back to the center. This is a great shot, maybe a couple of feet heavy, but we're getting this huge amount of curl, lets these players draw around these stones. Even that close center guard, yellow was able to overbury behind that. Now red wants to come around their corner guard. They're not concerned with that yellow stone that was just drawn in. The sweeper's calling out that he thinks the shot's heavy. The thrower's calling out he thinks the shot's heavy. Sweepers are listening to that. They're now trying to finish this stone, get it right buried, and that is a beautiful shot. That is T-line, dead buried, and looking like a great setup for their deuce. I think yellow is still shot stone, but red does not care about that at this point. They want to get some of their own rocks in the rings and then start dealing with the yellows later on. Yellow wants to throw another one in the rings. They're taking the same path, wanting to get this one a little bit closer to the tee line, a little bit closer to the center line, a little bit closer to the button. This is looking a little bit heavy again. This might be all the way through. We'll see if the skip. Yeah, that just sailed clean through. I think this is now calling the hit. This is red's second's first shot, so they can now start clearing guards, even those center line ones that yellow worked so hard for. I think the call here is about a control weight hit, and then if you get about half stone on that, you can roll that red into the rings and make 2 shots for 1. Looks like that overcurled just a little bit on them. They didn't get that roll that they wanted, and that kind of just replaces that center guard. Yellow is going to say, we don't care that you changed the color of this guard. We're still coming behind it. We're going to make you deal with our stones on the button. So they'd like to be sitting 2 after this shot. We'll see if they can adjust after being a little bit heavy on that first one. Looks a little bit closer to the weight. That is a little tight on the line. They need to be a little careful this doesn't overcurl. But this may just sail on through again. They might make contact with theirs in the back, which might actually leave red sitting to 1 now. And they do. So that is not at all what they had hoped for. Now I think red is not too concerned with that center guard anymore because they are sitting the 1, so they want to kind of draw in and put 1 kind of full 8 and prevent the draw to the button. Looks like they like the weight. Sweeping just a little bit here to get it precisely where they want. This is a nice curling shot. Weight was exactly what they wanted, just lost the line a little bit at the end. I think they wanted that to be open just a hair to make it a little harder for yellow to draw in. But yellow now looks like they want to hit that red that is buried, and they're kind of coming at this with a control weight with the intern. This inside out wing will move a lot, but it looks like there was a little miscommunication and yellow threw the wrong handle from what the skip wanted, and they kind of just went through that hole. So now red is still sitting the 2. They're going to have to decide what they want to do to keep it that way. They want to prevent yellow from drawing in, so they're going to call this same shot as last time, but they're taking a little bit more ice, and maybe they'll throw a little bit less weight on it to try to keep this high and prevent yellow from drawing in. It's like they think it's a little bit heavy. The sweepers are not touching this. This is coming back. I think they're calling to try to lock it onto that yellow now, but just lost the line a little bit, and that is going to sit for, I think that is fourth shot. So red sitting the 2, yellow 3, red 4, and yellow 5. They're calling this same shot again. I think they're going to have the correct handle on this and see if they can get this inside out movement and hit the shot stone. But if they do over curl and take out that guard, that is also not a bad outcome here. That will now open up that red and give them a chance for the in-off. Looks like red did not like that, and they want to throw up another guard. So they're going to come at this with the in-turn. And I think they want a little bit tighter guard this time so that there is no chance that yellow can come around it and tap them out. Line's looking pretty good. They're thinking maybe a little bit hot, and it's really starting to move here. This may over curl on them. Looked like a pretty soft release on that one, so you had a lot of movement on it. The weight was pretty good, and it looks like that red out by the 8 foot on the right hand side is wide open now, and yellow wants to take advantage of that and hit it. Remember, yellow's skip last end made that beautiful hit for the single, or what I think is the single. Well, we're still waiting on that scoreboard update. And so he's throwing another hit. This seems to be his preferred shot, and we'll see how he manages with this. This is the inside out curl, which does tend to move a little bit more than the outside in, so we'll see if they manage this correctly and can make the shot that they are intending. They're on this right away, really starting to move on them. That guard may come into, no, they're hitting this on the outside though, which is not what they'd wanted. And it looks like they actually ran that into their own yellow, and now red is sitting 3. So yellow's got a little bit of work to do to dig themselves out of this one now. Red, I think, is throwing a guard with this ice. I'll have to see exactly what they call as they're coming down the ice. But they're sitting the 3, so as long as they can stop yellow from drawing in and cutting them down, they're going to be pretty happy with that. I think the idea is if you throw up a guard on the right-hand side, yellow's out-turn draw is going to be stymied there, since there are those 2 red in the back. If yellow draws down that path, they do have the backing, which will give them a little bit more confidence in throwing their final draw against the 3. So red wants to prevent that kind of play. Looks like the weight is pretty good, maybe a little bit heavy, but they need to have this move on them. This has not been the problem that we've seen previously, where the stones are not moving. But it looks like this is going to end up in a pretty nice position in the end. Looks like it did finish really hard at the end, but that is still going to be good to sit the 4. So now yellow has a tough decision to make. They're staring down the barrel here, and they're trying to decide what their best outcome is to keep this game alive. Looks like the scoreboard was just updated here. It was 1 for yellow in the second end, so it is a tie game, and yellow is playing the draw here, so they need to get something in the rings and cut red down if they want to keep this game alive and keep it close. With the amount of curl that we're seeing on this ice, I'm a little concerned with the broom here, unless they're throwing like a backline weight, because holding it on the 8 foot for a draw will overbury. Looks like they're even tightening these up a little bit. So we'll have to see what yellow has in mind and if they can execute the shot that they had planned. Does look like a little bit of extra juice on this. This is coming into the guard. Well, looks like they were planning, just squeaked by that. And that sits for 4th shot, that looks like. So yellow is sitting 3. So this is going to be a draw for 4, I think. Not a whole lot red can do to move that. Not a whole lot red can do to move that yellow stone that was just thrown. So red's going to be taking the ice here to draw into the house. They just need to be about 7/8 in order to sit the 4. And really take a lead in this game. Yeah, red is calling that it's all there, so they think this has got a little bit of heat on it. This looks like it's moving towards the center line now. They're going to have to play the tap up. And looks like they're not going to be able to move that stone enough. They did not hit it close enough to nose, so it kind of just spilled the 2 to the side. So that is going to be 3 for red, I think. And so that will be a 4-1 lead for red. So red stole one in the first and then forced in the second. And once they finally got their hammer, they took a commanding 3 and are now in control of this game. Yellow's going to have to play a nice end. They want to get at least 2 if they want to keep this game within reach. And we'll see how both of the teams proceed after that big end. The thrower thinks that they were a little heavy on that. They're looking for the center line guard. Looks like this may overcurl a little and may come a little deep. And that looks like the skip is trying to determine that is on the center line. I did not catch the call on that. I think that may still be on the center line, so yellow needs to be real careful not to touch that. Looks like they're trying to throw up their own corner guard. Same play that we saw from red last end that worked out so well for them. So we'll see if yellow has the execution here to use those corner guards like red did last end. That's a nice corner guard. And red is going to now use their center guard, try to come around that and sit one in the rings, hopefully buried. They would love to be top button on this one. Don't want to come deep and give yellow the chance to sit on it. They're calling a little for line. Looks like they want it to curl now. This is over curling, so they're going to kind of spill the 2. Now they're both in the rings. Yellow can choose to hit either of them. We'll see if they elect to do so. That red, the red that is full 12 foot is a little bit of a problem stone for them, I think, because that kind of chokes off their corner guard and they can no longer come around it unless they go super wide, which, as we've seen, is fairly difficult to get around. Looks like they're playing that hit on it, and they're trying to hold this line. We'll see if they can make any contact, but just at the end it moves on them quite a bit. We've seen this a lot where at the end, past the hog line, the stones move a dramatic amount, and that's caught some of these players a little bit off guard. Looks like red wants to throw up another one, top of the house, kind of really form this wall of red out there and stop yellow from getting into it. They're calling out a 3, so they think this is a tight guard. Looks like this could curl a little bit more than they're intending on it, and maybe still leave that path open. So now they've got this long centerline guard, but because we are on to second stones for the hammer team, they can take that out if they want. If they do not want to, they are electing to instead hit this yellow, hit this red in the wings, and hopefully kind of roll in behind cover. To me, it does look like there is still a port on that red on the left that yellow could take, but they like their odds at hitting this better. They can get this little bit of a roll if they want, but this is moving on them. We'll see. Oh no, looks like it stayed a little bit straight on them. I think they wanted the roll on that. Red is going to completely ignore this stone now and come behind this long guard that they threw and try to really put some pressure on yellow. Red is coming down. It looks like they're a little bit heavy. So this is going to be tapping up the yellow, which is not what they want. That yellow is now going to be... Oh, that is just squeaked through. So that actually turns out okay for them. Red is still, or yellow is still does not like this red over here. They're going to try and hit this again. Looks like they've tightened up the ice a little bit. Maybe they're trying to get the roll this time. Nice delivery here. Looks like they need this to curl a little bit though. This is kind of hanging out on them. Wonder if that was just, he set it maybe just a little bit on his release and it never saw the curl that they were expecting to. Now that red doesn't have any yellows to worry about near the house, they're going to play this tap up on their own, try to get that behind cover, and if they do, there's going to be a lot of red between shot stone and anything that yellow can throw at it. They hit this just off of nose and raise it to top button. That would be the perfect shot. Looks like they're on this for line. They don't want this to over curl. And it looks like they're coming in. Great line on this. How's the weight? Just that touch light. But that is a beautiful shot nonetheless. They are now sitting just outside 4 foot. Yellow likes their chances of hitting this, so they're going to come at this with, I think, like a board weight. I did not see the call, but with the swing we have on the ice, you can definitely get around this guard. Looks like that was a little tight out of the hand. They're on this right away. I think they're hitting that guard, but they would love to not nose it so that they can open this up a little bit. Yeah, they get that little bit of roll, which is exactly what they wanted. They managed to hold it there just enough so that this is now opened up. Red's going to throw up a tighter guard now. Keep it close enough that there is no come around for yellow to play at shot stone and really keep them chasing this entire end. Weight looks pretty good. It's real wide right now, but with the finish that we see at the end, I think this will come out pretty nice. That finishes just on T line, or just on the center line. Now yellow likes this port here. The red guard is a little bit further off to the right, makes that port a little bit bigger and makes that shot just a little bit easier for yellow to come in. There is a double here if they get it just right, and they could be lying one. It's like they're sweeping this. They just get through the port, overcurl just that little bit. But there was not a whole lot of room between that shooter and the yellow guard. So if they were to make that double, that would have been very difficult. Looks like they're thinking about throwing up or drawing another one in the rings, putting it kind of 8 foot off to the left a little. And that would make yellow's draw in that much more difficult. This is Skip's first stone, and red does not have hammer. So they're looking to steal this end, which they have already done in the first end. We'll see how they manage to do here. They're already sitting the one, which is behind 2 guards and would be very difficult to get to. Sweepers think this is heavy. They don't want to touch it. We'll see if this stops at all. This looks like it's going to sail clean through. The skip just sweeping it out. And then I think yellow doesn't have too many options here. They can try this short run, or they could try that draw around, which the red was trying to prevent. Yellow does seem to prefer these hits, so if they manage to make this, they would be lying the one. Maybe if they can hit it just enough off nose to get that little bit of roll, they could lie the 2, but that seems like a tall ask to me. So yellow did have the choice between a draw and a hit here. It seems that they're electing for the hit, and that seems to be the skip's preference. The big shots that he's made this game have been hits, and he's looking to pull another one out here. Coming out here, looks like this is a little tight to the guard. They should be sweeping this. Have to make sure it's by. Coming over quickly. Do they make it? No. And that spills into a terrible spot. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. Their second touched that stone as it was spinning. I'm not sure what is going on here. They're trying to work out what went wrong and where everything should be. But with the way that spilled, the angles are not there, so yellow cannot throw that run again. So where things are now, it looks like yellow is forced into that draw, and so their skip has not thrown a draw since the first end, I believe. So he's gonna have to really pull one out here, and red wants to be drawing one in right on the button. If they can get it there, it's going to be real tough for yellow. And their best shot may be for the 1. Or maybe to just cut them down to 1. Looks like this is curling a lot on them. Are they around that guard? Looks like just barely. And now this is coming in a little hot. We'll see how far back this goes. So that is still good for second shot, but it does leave the path open for the draw still. So yeah, they're taking a lot of ice here. In my opinion, it's hard to take too much ice on these draws because they'll come over so hard at the end. Yellow just needs to get around their top guard there and then sit, just touch the forefoot if they want to get that single. Here's yellow drawing against the 2. Line looks good to get around that guard, but it looks like it may be a little heavy. We'll have to see if that comes down. And that is sailing clean through, so that is going to be a steal of 2 for red, and that puts them in a commanding lead of 6-1 after 4 ends. Hello folks, we are now switching over to sheet 3 where we have Team Glazer from Chesapeake against Team Brady from Bucks County. The score is 2-1 for red, which is Team Glazer, and Team Brady has the hammer. Actually, it looks like this is the 5th end, and they have not yet put up the score for the 4th end. We'll have to wait and see what that score is to give you an accurate read as to what is going on in this game. So I apologize, folks. It looks like the colors of the stones are incorrect from what the scoreboard, from what the stream says. Team Glazer is actually playing yellow stones, and Team Brady is playing with red stones. So red has hammer here. Looks like yellow took a single point last end, so the game is tied at 2-2. And all of the stones so far this end look like they've been guards. There is a lot of red stones up in front of the house. Red would love to draw in behind those and take advantage of the shrapnel and get something in there and hopefully steal this end. It's like they overcurled just that little bit, but they still do raise their red in for just outside 8 foot. That is the only shot in the house, but now the path is wide open for yellow to draw in behind. So we'll see if they can get another, or get a shot, or get a stone in here and line shot. They get that behind cover. It'll be looking pretty good for them at this point. It'll be hard for red to get out because of that slight overlap on the 2 center guards. There's not going to be a run back available for red. It's like the skip is coming in here to help just a little bit, try to get a little bit of extra distance on this, but they come up just a little bit short. So red is still sitting the 1. Yellow needs to get something a little closer to the button to score this end. Neither shot in the house is in particularly good scoring position at this point, so it's still that race to get to the button and get a close shot in. Looks like the line is there on this one. We'll see if they have the right weight. And oh, they just tapped that red, so that yellow that was just thrown. Now yellow's gonna have a choice on what to do. They could hit and roll off of this, or they could throw the clean draw. Looks like they like the hit and roll better. I think there are more options off of this shot, because if you miss your draw, it's gonna be red is gonna throw up another guard or even draw near center, and you're going to have a hard time getting to the pin at that point. So this shot is going to open up that draw on the outturned side, and if he can get that roll in, he can get shot stone off of this. Looks like kind of a normal weight hit on this. The sweepers aren't touching it. They want this to move. They're going to hit a little closer to nose than they wanted. That's going to spill to the outside, and so they're not going to be sitting 1 after this, but that still does open up the path to the button for yellow. So red wants to, this is red's last stone. They want to draw something, I think, a little bit high in this port. If they could get something like top 4 or full 8, that is going to be difficult for yellow to hit. It's going to be a tough shot for yellow's last. I apologize, folks. This is red actually has hammer here, so they are looking to draw one in that and make yellow's last shot tough and hopefully take the 2 or more this end. red is now coming in. Looks like they're a little bit light on this draw. They're gonna kind of just barely get by that center guard, but it's not gonna be enough weight to be sitting the 2. So the draw is there for yellow. They can get themselves out of this. They get that one in behind. There's so many stones out in play. It's going to be real difficult for red to deal with that. So yellow does still have the chance to steal here. But this is not an easy shot. Yellow coming out with his last. Looks like they liked it out of hand. Looks like they're going to sweep a little bit. It feels like it's coming down a little in weight. Line's looking pretty good. Can they just squeak by? They do, and it just a little bit heavy. So there is a chance for red to still take their single, but that was a phenomenal shot to get through that port, just barely squeaked by the guard. There is no way for red to deal with this stone and get there too. So they're gonna have to draw for their single and try to grab this end back at the last minute with a clutch shot from yellow. So red's coming down with a draw. Looks like they're similar ice, and they're worried it's a little bit heavy. They do have the backing coming down this route, but looks like they think it's checking up on them a little bit. This is gonna come up a little light, it looks like. Can they get it by the guard? They just do. Can they pull it just that little bit enough for shot stone? And no, they just barely bite 4 foot, but yellow is just biting button, and they steal the 1 to make the score 3-2 for Team Glazer. With yellow stealing the single last end, they now have, they do not have hammer, so they're looking to throw up a centerline guard here. Looks like with the ice they took, they have a little bit of a different swing on this sheet than they did on sheet 2, or it could be down to a little bit of a different release here. Looks like yellow is sweeping for the curl to try to get it onto the center line. Looks like they will be able to get it over just enough at the end, and they have their center line guard, which by the no kick rule cannot be moved off of the center line for the first 5 stones of play. Looks like red here wants to just come around that yellow, bring the play right into the rings right away. This has been a very tight game with singles back and forth, so it looks like they don't want to mess with rocks on the corner and have to outdraw stuff at the button. They don't think that the multiple points is happening, so they're trying to control the center first and score a single, maybe, and make sure that they don't give up another steal. But with that come around, they were tight to the guard and kicked it off, and you saw that yellow then moved their stone back onto the center line, and reds was removed from play. That is the no-kick rule that we're talking about. Yellow now looks like they want to draw one in tight to the rings. They want it to be a guard, and they want it to be kind of a corner guard. So it looks like they're trying to create this pocket to the side where they're going to start dumping stones in that red can't deal with and make them look at a bundle when they start to draw. So we are now in the 7th end. Yellow has hammer. It is a tie game. And red has a center guard, but it is not on the center line, which means that it can be ticked. I'm not sure if that is the call here or if it's the come around. Looks like with the amount of sweeping they're doing, this is the come around that they're playing. Looks like with coming around here, they're bringing the play into the center early, and this will keep the option open for the blank by keeping the front clear with very few guards. Red wants to follow them down, sit on that yellow, but that yellow is in a pretty good position. It is dead buried, top button, so red cannot be shot stone if they freeze onto it. Looks like this could be coming in a touch heavy, could spill this yellow out into the open, but they will be sitting shot stone because they tapped it back just far enough. Yellow is wanting to draw in for this shot, which means that they are trying to play for multiple points. They are not concerned with this red out to the side, which is wide open. They're sweeping like crazy to try to get this around the guard, but it looks like they're not going to be able to. And that is a little bit of a disaster here. Now the red is buried behind that guard. Red can draw in a second shot. They could even tap up their red to be right on the button. Looks like they don't like that option. They want to put something a little bit higher. And between those two guards, there is just barely more than a stone's width, which means that if you throw something up on the left side here, right side from your view, it's going to be very difficult for yellow to get a stone in play. Looks like this is just squeaked by the guard. It's a little bit heavy here, but that is going to be good to sit for second shot, really putting the pressure on yellow here. Looks like their second was, or their vice was calling to run something or to clear it open. They're calling for the run here. I like this play because even if you don't make your run here, you may peel this guard out of the way, and that's going to open up a shot onto the shot stone that was just thrown. It's like this kind of overcurled a little bit, just got, just barely tipped the yellow. It looked like that was going to come straight through the port and maybe make contact with some of the shot stones, but that does tick the yellow over, which makes the next attempt at this a much easier shot. Reds coming in, looks like they are wanting to throw a guard up on the right hand side. Look at the amount of ice they have to take for that, but this will move over at the end for them. Weight's looking pretty good to cover that hole, and looks like it'll stop just enough, but look at the amount of curl we got on that shot. It is possible that maybe your intern hit is available there. Yellow will not have any of that. They just want to clear this up. They're going to try to peel out that top, that center line guard, open that shot stone, or open that button right up and try to deal with things head on. Looks like this is over curling on them. They're sweeping it. They managed to hit it low side. I think they were trying to peel it high side. But the sweepers managed to hold that just enough. There is now no center guard here. Red needs to throw that back up again. Otherwise, there is a possible thin double that is available for yellow in order to sit the 2. We'll have to see how much curl they get on this. That did not look like a whole lot of ice to me if they want to get to center line, but this is hanging out there a little bit. Looks like this could be pretty good on the line if it doesn't come in too deep. That is just making it to center and just crossing center. That looks like that is good enough to plug up that plug up the shot on the double. So now yellow has some tough decisions to make. Looks like they're lining up the shot, seeing what kind of double they can make. I don't think there's a triple there. But if they run this red right back, they'll get rid of 2 of those, make the double. Red will still be sitting 1, but yellow will be shots 2 and 3, which would be a huge win for them at this point. Looks like they're getting close to nose. They made the shot the other way, but they hit that just a little bit thinner than they'd wanted, so their shot stone did roll out of play. Yellow is still second shot, but red is now third shot. Yellow would have loved to have third shot there to have a chance at that multiple. Red looks like they want to throw up another guard, which I do not blame them. They've been working wonders for them, and they've managed to keep yellow chasing this entire end. They think it's a little heavy. They think it's a 4 from what the sweepers are indicating. This will move over for them, but they do not want to be too deep. Otherwise, that will give yellow a chance at a double. Looks like that's a pretty good spot to be in. I don't think that there's a double there, because the natural double will jam. So yellow still has to deal with them, though. Looks like their third is coming down to discuss this play. They're not entirely sure what they want to do. These 2 stones are in a bit of a problem position, and their yellow behind them is not doing them any favors at this point, because all that is doing is serving as a catcher now. The third is lining up for his shot. He's coming at it with the out turn. Looks like he might be playing to just hit shot stone here. They're calling on it right away to sweep. Looks like they may be getting close to nose on this, which I think is what they want. Maybe they may have wanted to just feather the other red. But right now yellow is sitting the 1, so red is no longer able to keep throwing up guards like they have been doing. They're going to have to hit this yellow and hopefully roll into a good place. The way the red is sitting right now, yellow does not have a good shot to get rid of it without clipping their back stone. So red does need to be a little cognizant of where they roll to and not give yellow an easier shot to sit 2. Coming down looks like a normal weight hit. Sweepers are on for line now. Looks like they're gonna get a little flop onto it, and that is a tough position for yellow. That was a good roll. There's not a whole lot of options for yellow here. It is possible if yellow comes in with a in-turn hit and hits a hair low side on that shot or on that bundle of reds, they may be able to drag the back red just enough to keep their yellow into play. But it is then going to be tough to get that top red out. So there's not too many good options here. Yellow does not like their chances with the hit, so it looks like they are forced to the draw. And this is playing right into red's game plan here, where they want to force yellow to the single. You do have to wonder with yellow's what yellow's game plan is at this point. They may well prefer to take their single point, or they may well prefer to give up a single point than take a single in order to have hammer down 1 coming home. But again, that is highly Skip's choice dependent. Looks like this shot is close to the weight they want, but maybe just over curled a little bit. So red is sitting the 1 and yellow is second and 4th shot. So red is content guarding this. We'll have to see what yellow wants to do with the state of the game, because they are tied right now, but there's one end of curling left after this. Do they want to come home with the hammer, or would they rather be up 1 without in the final end? Remember, for these games, you have a draw to the button instead of an extra end. So if you end up tied at the end, you do not have that much of an advantage to having hammer in the extra. Looks like red wants to draw in a second counter here. That would be a great outcome for them. If they're sitting the 2, then yellow does need to do something about that. But that looks a little bit light. They had the right line. It just did not come in deep enough for them. And now yellow needs to decide what they want.
Brian already swept those.
Looks like they are trying to draw for the single. They would prefer to be up 1 without hammer. There have been no multiple point ends here. So you have to think that yellow does not like their chances of getting 2 in the 8th if they were to give up the steal. Yellow's coming with their draw. Sweepers think it's a little heavy. It's got to stop full 4 foot in order to be shot stone. It looks like it's sliding. This is going to come in deep, and yellow is going to give up a steal of 1 here. You could not ask for a closer game, folks. Yellow is down 1 with hammer. This is the last end of play. Red is throwing up this center guard. Looks like this is going to overcurl a little bit on them, so it's closer to maybe a corner than a center guard. Yellow wants to draw into the house here. They're not going to mess around with guards. They're trying to bring the play into the house early. Oh, no. Looks like they have changed the call. They wanted a guard, but this looks like it is going through the house. So Red's looking to put up a center guard again. Looks like they've got a little bit better line this time, but this still could come over pretty hard at the end. They're a little worried about the weight. This is actually coming into the house now. And this does cut over right in line with their first one. So maybe only 2 half buried. red is not dealing with this shot at this point. So yellow comes up with a guard here. Looks like they're happy with that. With the 5 rock rule, red cannot hit that yellow. So that does give them something to work with. Red would love to get a guard here to protect that one that they have lying and force yellow to deal with that. Like this is coming down a similar path to the other ones. This is going to curl a lot at the end, and it's going to finish as a guard and leave. Looks like that red is left wide open, so yellow is going to take that out now, and if they can get that roll in behind the corner guard, that would be a phenomenal shot, folks. Like they're coming maybe control. Needs to move a lot at the end. Oh, it is moving, and trying to hold it. Oh. That'll be just enough to knock that red out of the ring that's still in play. But yellow would have loved to hold their shooter there in order to get the multiple point end for the win. Yellow is trying to draw in here behind the shrapnel of red out front. They would love to get one in the rings here. They need to get their 2 in order to win the game. And they do not want this to go to the draw to the button after a tie game. Looks like a nice shot there, right on T line. And that is behind a lot of cover. Red needs to draw in behind and follow that. There's room to get shot stone here and still be buried, and they would love to pull that off. Let's see what they've got. Sweepers seem to like it out of the hand. Looks like they want to sweep it. It looks like it's dying down a little bit. And here they go. Looking like great weight on this shot. And that is a close one. I think yellow is still sitting the 1, but we'll have to see how this plays out. And if there comes a measure at the end of the end. Yellow wants to just keep drawing in here, get multiple stones in the rings, and set up a chance for their deuce and the win. coming out really wide here. This has to curl in order to get around that outside guard. Line's looking really nice now. They need to sweep this for weight, and looks like it's going to come up a little light for a third shot. Red is trying to draw in behind cover here. Looks like there is room still. There is the chance to get shot stone. Kind of need to navigate the port and tuck in behind that yellow that was just thrown. Looks like they're on this for weight now. Need to draw this in just far enough to get shot stone. That yellow is coming into play now. They may tick it just a little bit, and they now sit third shot. I think yellow is still sitting first shot stone, and they want to take out this red, which could be problematic for them later on, as there is a short run with that onto anything that they try to get behind it. Coming at this with some weight, looks like normal. Trying to hold the line here. It'll tuck just a little bit behind that yellow. That could make playing that run just a little bit more difficult if red does draw something in behind, but the port to draw in is so narrow. We'll have to see if they can get something in for shot stone. Red is weighing their options here. Looks like they want to throw a hit, but they're trying to decide exactly where they want to make contact in order to have the most favorable result. I think they're trying to throw a hit on that third shot stone yellow. They just need to make sure that they don't hit it too thin and run that back onto their red. Red is now lining up to shoot. They're, I think, coming at this with a normal weight. They want to get this yellow out of play and stop any kind of run back that may be available for yellow in order for a multiple point end. Looks like they got the result that they wanted. It's hard for yellow to get anything in past that red that was just thrown, and the run back options are limited at this point for them. It's like yellow's wanting to throw a hit and get rid of that red, open up the shot, open up the center line, maybe thinking about a draw to the button for his final shot. looks like they're thinking about if they hit it thin, is that going to hit the yellow and it run that onto maybe the shot stone? I'd be a little concerned with that if they do clip that yellow and end up spilling that onto the button and leaving red lying 1 or 2. I think the call that they're looking for is they want to roll this under cover, so they want to hit this a little low side and keep that draw to the button open for the 2. Looks like this is hanging out on them a little bit. See where it makes contact. Oh, that was almost a disaster. It just barely squeaks by their shot stone, and if that had ticked it, that probably would have been game over, folks. Not sure if Red's throwing the guard or the draw here. You would think that they would love to get a shot stone in here and make yellow throw their last stone in order to tie the game. Remember, red is up 1 here, so yellow needs 1 to tie and 2 to win. And in the event of a tie, we are going to go to skip stones to draw to the button. Red is setting up to throw here, just cleaning off their stone. They would love to get shot stone off of this and make yellow throw a high pressure shot for their final. Weight looks pretty close. Looks like it's by the guard at this point, maybe a little bit heavy. And that is right on the button, so now yellow has to deal with that. Looks like it's about half open. Maybe if they come at that with just like a back 8 weight, you could tap that out of the way and sit your 2 for the win. Have to see what kind of ice they're calling on this. So with that kind of ice, it looks like they are playing for just that little tap on the shot. This is a very high pressure shot. Red is right now sitting a single, and yellow has to deal with that. There is a shot for 2, I think, that will give them the win, but yellow just needs to make it. Coming out, looks like maybe backline weight here. Coming in and needs to curl a little bit. They're trying to sweep for the curl here. And this looks, wow, what a shot. Oh, That looks like 2 to me, folks. And that looks like yellow has the game. Yep. They agree that it is 2 yellow. They are shaking hands. Yellow has taken 2, the first multiple point end of the game, and sealed their victory to move on to the semifinals. After that exciting end, we are now going to go back to sheet 2, where we are on skip stones. Looks like this is the last shot of the game. Yellow is sitting 3. Red needs to get 1 in the house in order to win the game. Right now, yellow is sitting 3. They are down 2, so yellow is sitting on the win right now. This red needs to stop. It is gliding. It is gliding. Looks like you've got the backing there, and you just stop. And that looks, I'm not sure if it's 1 yellow or 1 red, but it does not matter. That will be a victory for red. That ended up being a much closer game than it looked after 4 ends, where it was 6-1. So red seals their victory, and that is the last of our 8 a.m. draws on Sunday. I'm Reggie Wilcox at the Broomstones Oktoberfest Open, and we'll be back to you shortly with the next draw, which is sure to be exciting, folks.
Thank you so much.
Good game. Good game.